Hollow Knight is a 2D platforming Metroidvania developed by an Australian company called Team Cherry. As I have been constantly seeking for new ways to play this game, making up new challenges or trying different builds, I thought of the idea of seeing how Hollow Knight looks from the Australian developer's perspective. Now it's known by many of you that because Australia is on the other side of the world, everything they see is actually upside down. So with that idea in mind, I set off to find out if I could beat Hollow Knight if everything's upside down. I found myself falling up into King's Pass, equipped with only the nail, and feeling a few stubbies short of a six-pack, I ventured into Hallownest. Once again I ignored Elderbug, recalling the time he acted like a complete drongo and stole everyone's budgie smugglers out in the bush and made us walk back without a pair of dacks between us. Moving past the bug, hoping he felt lonely like he truly deserved, I ventured underground to obtain all the items I would need to stand a shot against the Hollow Knight. By some miracle I fell all the way up to the bottom of the Forgotten Crossroads without so much as hitting a single enemy on my ascent. I then carried on my path to unlock a stag station for fast travelling later, and then proceeding on to take care of the Great Big Esky, that's Australian for a container that keeps things cool, that was the boss known as the False Knight. I then pulled out a cold stubby of Pepsi Max while I was given my first spell from the Snail Shaman. Unfortunately, while my hands were occupied pouring the cold bevy, I was forced into the dungeon owned by the shaman, where he kept all his pets. In order for the shaman to release me, I saw only one way out. I had to kill his beloved boulder named Buggo. By butchering this beefy, bodacious bug, I brought the babbling, bumbling, big-headed snail down to its knees, begging for forgiveness. I took my leave from the wizard and headed to Greenpath to unlock the ability to dash and meet the legend of Silksong. Before I could enter, I had to quickly dispatch of Buggo's brother, Paul. Paul was a little less formidable, as he suffered from poor depth perception and missed every single one of his shots on me. With Paul reunited with his brother, I was able to enter Greenpath. Here I tragically failed to perform the only skip I know in this game, which involved pogoing off of a squid that skips a large section of the area. I then managed to get hopelessly lost as I had forgotten the way through the normal route, but I eventually found Hornet. This is where the confusion started to set in. See, the way I had set up the ability to play Hollow Knight upside down meant that I had to flip my monitor upside down in the display settings on my PC. There's no mod as far as I'm aware that lets you do this any other way. And an unfortunate side effect of this is that not only is it flipped, but left and right is also the other way around. And rather than changing my controller layout and match the directions, I decided to add the extra layer of difficulty by keeping these movements flipped, meaning that left goes right and right goes left. Once I felt that I had my bearings right, I was able to defeat Hornet and let her fly off. She didn't choose to fly off, I definitely let her, okay? After allowing her to escape, a corpse looking similar to my character flumped over and dropped the MOTHWING cloak, granting me the capacity to dash and letting me enter the fungal wastes. Before I entered the wastes, however, I had to make a quick pit stop to kill the Gruzmother. I couldn't rest knowing that somewhere out there was a bug that I could kill was sleeping. Felt disrespected that the mother was treating me with such contempt that I dashed over there and did my best Anakin Skywalker impression against the Tusken Raiders by killing not just the Gruzmother, but her children too. With the Tusken Mother sent straight to hell, I was able to speak with Salubra, the slug with nipples for hands, who saw me the Shaman Stone, making my spell stupidly powerful, and then snapped Sly the Merchant out of his hypnosis, allowing him to return to the surface and sell me the lamp later on. The fungal waste was now my next destination, and upon reaching it I rested at a bench. Although I was uncomfortable with spending too long here, as this twitchy, decrepit mantis looking thing was ready to mug me or pee on me if I let my guard down. Thankfully getting to the Mantis Lord is pretty linear even when the world is upside down. Before entering the arena, however, I had to flick a couple of levers and then pick up the mantis claws that allow me to cling to walls. Equipped with this new level 100 mobility, I was ready to fight the three lords. The large room before the arena was some of the most bewildering platforming I'd ever done, from having to pass by spikes laden on every single wall, falling up long areas, praying there wasn't anything at the bottom to kill me, and enemies littered about the place giving me some major challenge. Finally, I made it to the lords, and I found myself dying a bunch of times because of their frisbees being thrown in ways that I couldn't guess correctly, with everything being the wrong way around, and definitely not me seeking excuses for how bad I am. Eventually I was able to beat Gwyneth Paltrow, the lamest Mantis Lord. I was quickly humbled by Mary Kate and Ashley, showing me what it's like to get teamed up on. The second phase of this battle is faster, on top of now having to fight two Mantis Lords, which gave me a tougher time, especially with trying to quickly dodge their attacks while also trying to remember my left and rights. I eventually beat down Ashley, leaving Mary Kate vulnerable due to the twins' telepathic abilities, and while she was distracted and feeling the pain experienced by her twin, I forced Mary Kate to take my merry bait and meet her merry fate, and return to her throne to sit with her merry mate. By that I mean I beat her down. Anyway, with the Mantis Lords humbled, I got to pillage their treasures, giving me a bunch of money to spend later on for the blessed lamp. Returning back up some of the way, I followed to where Hornet scuppered off from earlier and restored a poorly made IKEA bridge to cross over to enter the City of Tears. Inserting the city crest into the statue, I was in. From here I quickly upgraded my nail, met Lem, and went up into the Soul Sanctum to obtain the Desolate Dive spell, and kill a genocidal maniac in the process. It's my job to kill everything, not his. Guarding the way, however, was the Soul Warrior, who I was able to make short work of thanks in part to his being a terrible boss. Washing my hands of that lame ass, I descended up to where the Soul Master was tucked away. This battle was actually really fun upside down, as there's a lot of in-air movement from me having to jump up to hit the floating boss to watching the big guy using his dive ability, but going up was really enjoyable to watch. Unfortunately, as I said before, only I get to kill everyone, so the Soul Master had to become the Soul Monster. From here, I had to return back to the Australian surface to make my way to Crystal Peak. I rested at the bench in Dirtmouth, trying to avoid eye contact with Elderbug because I saw him fire into a bag of cheese and onion crisps once. I purchased the glorious lamp from Sly for a whopping $1,800 dues, a bargain for an item as beautifully crafted and unique as this. Much like the lamp in Aladdin, this one also holds a genie that grants wishes, except you can only wish for the lamp to illuminate dark areas. Making my way over to one of the entryways into Crystal Peak, I found myself short on cash, thanks to spending all my money on the lamp and NFTs that were just pictures of grass, and so I had to take the longer route into the cursed area. I made my way up in a downward fashion, using several vertical conveyor belts. I then avoided talking to a group of miners, as it can be frowned upon to talk to them without their parents nearby, and I then found the Crystal Guardian lounging on a bench. Laziness in Hallownest is punishable by death, so I punished the Crystal Guardian with death. After unlocking a crucial checkpoint to save myself from being crushed to death by the pillars, or dying to those goddamn crystal hunters shooting their spikes, I ascended down to the bottom of the peak of Crystal Peak, and descended up into the eastern section of the area. Here I got to hop across some spiky platforms while dodging the sticky bombs shot from the annoying flies, until eventually I found the Crystal Heart, which gave me the ability to pretend I was in an initial D music video and dash across large areas with ease and speed. Unfortunately, my time in Crystal Peak wasn't over, as I had one more trip to take that was left to tick off the table of tasks, which was to upgrade my Desolate Dive spell and evolve it into Descending Dark. This spell is so stupidly powerful, with it having the ability to do heaps of damage when combined with the Shaman Stone I purchased from Salubra, but also it spoils me with providing some well-needed periods of invincibility when I smash into the ground, saving me from getting hurt by enemies charging my way. Navigating the precarious platforms protecting the powerful projection, I absorbed the spell and took a shortcut to a graveyard that taught me all the lore I needed to know. After completely ignoring all the lore I needed to know, I woke up to meet a beautiful butterfly, guiding me to pick up the Dream Nail, an item that I solely used to dispatch the 3 dreamers that come up later. I was then woken up to meet the very same beautiful butterfly who wasn't so beautiful this time around. Excusing myself politely by leaving without saying a word to the insect that aided me, I moved on to the Royal Waterways to perform my day job. When I'm not slaughtering infected insects, I spend the 9 to 5 portions of my day as a sanitation manager for the city's waterways. I take care of ensuring the water is clean and filtered, and unfortunately on this day I received reports of severe clogging, so I was tasked with finding the blockage. Walking by all my lazy co-workers who are all floating around aimlessly not performing their tasks, I found the source of the blockage. Some crazed idiot calling himself the Dung Defender, claiming to fight for poo to have a right, was blocking off water to the lower portion of Hallownest. I quickly disposed of him, making use of my spells to keep the dung off me as best as possible, and then sending my guys in to clear out the mess he made. Hitting a lever that the so-called Dung Defender had broken caused a cascade of water to flow out of the lower parts of the waterway and allow the water to flow free again. Checking down where the flooded area was, I found a sad tree which I made even more sad by taking its glowing green thing, which luckily let me swim in the apple juice quite safely. I didn't even know it did that, I just wanted to be a jerk to the tree. Leaving the waterways, happy knowing that the tree was even more miserable, I went into the depths of Hallownest, called the Ancient Basin. This area is technically optional, but it holds the Monarch Wings, and damn it, I like to double jump around the place. Sadly, such a skill was safely secured by a similar specimen of my sort, made up of void known as the Lost Kin. This void entity was just as angry as me, able to dash across the arena, spew out tangerines, and spawn in the ghosts of tangerines that once lived. Thanks to Descending Dark, however, this wannabe poser was no match for me, and I spammed my spells at him until he died from death. Taking my wings and flying away from the basin, I ascended back up to begin taking care of the dreamers, and by taking care of them I mean ensuring they live comfortably and happily and definitely not murdering them at all. The first dreamer who I chose simply because they were closest to me was Lurian the Watcher, who protected and watched over the City of Tears, and did a bad job because everyone is dead. 5 or 6 Watcher Knights stood between me and my lust to kill the defenseless dreamer. By breaking a rope that secured a chandelier which dropped onto one of the knights, I ensured a slightly easier battle. Regrettably, these guys are some of the toughest of the vanilla game experience, with desynchronized attack patterns, a deceptively long range on the sword swinging attacks, and the ganking. Oh, the ganking. These guys don't care what the other is doing, they only want to kill the player. Stuck against the wall? Surprise bitch, it's me, the other Watcher Knight. Trying to get some invincibility frames from your spell? Surprise buddy, it's me bouncing around the room like that ball above the lyrics in music videos. The Watcher Knights are merciless and will turn your world upside down, which I wish they did for my run in order to make it go back to normal. Eventually I wrote them a kindly worded email asking for them to let me past and kill their boss. Thankfully they agreed, claiming that their shift was over anyway. So off I went to climb the tower where the lazing Lurian slumbered. Using my dream nail I went in his head and killed him to death until he was dying of dead. I made my way back up to the surface once more, bought 2 mask shards from Sly for some reason, perhaps hoping that an extra hit point will save me in the future. Next up on my shit list, which was a normal list before the Dog Defender, was Monomon the teacher. This fabulous looking hooded jellyfish is tucked away in the archives in Fog Canyon. Between her however are some explosive jellyfish that deal double damage and Umu, the king jellyfish. I've mentioned before how much Umu sucks in my previous video where I beat the game one-handed, so for this video I think I'll list all the great things about Umu. Number 1. Nah, I got nothing. A tough upside down platforming battle that was Umu that took me well over 30 minutes, including the time I got distracted and watched a video about how to calm down an angry Rhea using the lid of a dustbin. This fight is only mildly annoying when playing it normally, but upside down this boss was a pain. I fell so many times thinking I was going to land on a platform while running away from the great big balls of lightning, and I got hurt from not being able to find safe spots when Umu brings in little balls of electricity dotted about the arena. This boss was easily the hardest part of the challenge, due to the amount of platforming and quick thinking it required, with having little windows to heal and even fewer windows of opportunity to attack you. You'd almost think I was in 33 Thomas Street, the former AT&T Long Lines building. Thankfully, my torment with Umu did end after pitching a tantrum and telling Umu's parents that Umu was being mean to me. They sent the jellyfish to its room and I gained access to Monomon, who I promptly destroyed with little care for her students' feelings who watched as I slayed his mentor. The final and least formidable beast was the last obstacle to tackle. Hera, the huge hulking beast hidden in a house of horrors, hoping to hamburger. Yes, hamburger. This dreamer was hidden away in the very westernmost corner of Deep Nest. Thankfully with no bosses guarding her, only the horrors of the crawling bugs, the thundering stompings of the Garpedes tunneling through the ground, and of course those lumbering Wolverine fanatics who do double damage. Thanks to our ever wondrous lamp that we purchased earlier, the darkness of Deep Nest is not nearly as daunting as it could have been. Navigating through the maze-like area felt like a brand new experience, with everything upside down. I couldn't remember the way to go, but before long I found the first bench in Deep Nest and fell up into a spring away from the loud as hell Garpedes. My ears thanked me. The path to Hera's home was pretty simple from here, with the main trouble being these hornet lookalikes appearing out of thin air, but being able to run and fly away from these made them a little less intimidating. I entered Hera's place of rest and knew not to sit on the bench that was clearly a trap, as I learned previously. So thankfully I didn't sit, oh goddamn, I sat on the bench. This place was the final maze area of the game, but again, the game was upside down and I got lost. Give me a break, okay? I definitely didn't spend over 20 minutes in here, dying once to Wolverine from the hit movie X-Men Origins Wolverine, after my request to disobey gravity was ignored. I then found Hera's bedroom and it definitely had a weird smell coming from it. Not my business though. I killed the big spider just as I would in real life and traveled back to Dirtmouth one final time to tell Elderbug just how much I hate him for using my great grandmother's ashes in his coffee. Like, come on dude, I was gonna use them for that. Entering the Black Egg Temple where the Hollow Knight resided, I decided to avoid eye contact with it, as I learned that only upsets them and I didn't want to do that to him. Closing my eyes and breaking the shackles containing this horned monster, I watched him fall up onto the arena. Here the final upside down battle commenced. Blessed with the fact that this arena is extremely flat, I didn't have to worry about platforming, and by this point I'd actually kind of gotten used to being upside down, so it almost felt like I was fighting the Hollow Knight ordinarily. Of course this fight is still pretty hard. The fast swinging attacks and ambiguous hitbox the final boss possesses, it put up a fair challenge. Thankfully I did pick up 2 more mask shards during my adventure and had 6 total life points, which saved my life at least once during this final battle. But thanks to our trusty lamp, which gave me plenty of moral support, I managed to vanquish the Hollow Knight and take his place as the new container of the Radiance, proving that I can, in fact, beat Hollow Knight while everything is upside down. Thank you all for watching. I'm Chemical Packer. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'd love to do this kind of stuff full time and subscribing really helps me out. Have a lovely day, afternoon, or evening. Thank you again.